Explosive claims are rippling through royal and Hollywood circles tonight as Prince Harry and Meghan Markle find themselves at a crossroads few believed possible just a few years ago. After staking their future on America, insiders now suggest the Duke and Duchess of Sussex are quietly considering a dramatic return to the United Kingdom, triggered by mounting backlash in the US and what sources describe as a behind-the-scenes intervention unfolding at the highest royal levels. This sudden shift has stunned observers who remember how firmly the couple once declared they were finished with Britain, the monarchy, and everything connected to royal life. Yet now, the narrative that powered their American reinvention appears to be fracturing, and the consequences may be forcing a reckoning neither side can avoid. When Harry and Meghan relocated to California, the move was framed as an escape and a triumph. America was supposed to be the place where they could speak freely, rebuild their image, and turn their story into global influence on their own terms. For a time, it worked. Sympathy was strong, media interest was relentless, and major deals flowed in. But that honeymoon period has faded. In recent months, the couple has faced growing criticism from U.S. commentators, social media audiences, and even former supporters who now accuse them of overexposure, inconsistency, and exploiting royal drama long after promising to move on. What once felt like bold truth-telling is increasingly dismissed as repetition, and what was once seen as bravery is now framed by critics as entitlement. Behind the scenes, this shift has sent shockwaves through the Sussex camp. Hollywood insiders quietly admit that the Sussex brand no longer guarantees automatic enthusiasm. Executives are said to be asking harder questions, measuring audience fatigue, and weighing whether royal controversy still delivers the returns it once did. This is a dangerous position for a couple whose influence relies almost entirely on relevance and public goodwill. The United States was meant to be the place where Harry and Meghan could finally control their story, but control becomes fragile when public sentiment turns unpredictable. It is in this context that the United Kingdom has suddenly re-entered the conversation. According to sources close to royal circles, Prince Harry has been feeling the pressure more intensely than his wife. America may have offered freedom, but it did not offer him identity. In Britain, Harry was a prince with an inherited role, a defined place in history, and an unbreakable connection to the institution that shaped him. In the US, he is a celebrity dependent on narrative momentum, and insiders say that realization has been weighing heavily on him as criticism grows louder. Complicating matters further is the presence of his father on the throne. King Charles III is not only managing a monarchy under scrutiny, but also confronting questions about legacy, continuity, and family division that will define his reign. This is where the word intervention begins to surface. Sources suggest senior figures, both royal and adjacent to the palace, have urged Harry to reassess his path before doors close permanently. The message, as described by insiders, is stark. Continued estrangement risks leaving him isolated, commercially weakened in America, and institutionally erased in Britain. Unlike previous attempts at reconciliation driven by emotion, this moment is said to be rooted in strategy and damage control. The monarchy cannot afford endless public warfare, and Harry cannot afford to lose every remaining bridge to the institution that still defines him in the eyes of the world. Yet any potential return to the UK is anything but simple. Prince William remains a formidable obstacle. Those close to the Prince of Wales describe him as unmoved by symbolic gestures or partial reconciliations. For William, the damage caused by public accusations, private conversations turned into global content, and repeated breaches of trust is not something that can be undone by a visit or a carefully worded statement. This creates a tense dynamic in which King Charles may seek calm and closure, while William insists on boundaries and consequences. Harry, caught between them, faces the painful reality that coming home does not guarantee acceptance. Meghan Markle's position adds another layer of complexity. Notably, she has offered no public signals suggesting a desire to return to Britain. Insiders say she views the UK not as unfinished business, but as a chapter marked by loss of control, relentless scrutiny, and emotional cost. Her focus, sources claim, remains firmly anchored in US-based projects, brand development, and environments where she holds leverage. This divergence in priorities has fueled quiet speculation that while Harry may feel pulled back toward his roots, Meghan has little interest in revisiting a place she believes nearly broke her. The question now whispered in elite circles is not whether Harry and Meghan are united, but whether they are calculating risk in the same way. What makes this moment different from countless previous rumors is timing. The backlash in America, the softening signals from King Charles, the continued resistance from Prince William, and Harry's unresolved security and legal concerns are all colliding at once. Sources speak of structured conversations, conditions, and scenarios being discussed quietly, away from cameras. This is not a sudden decision, but a slow-building pressure point that may soon force action. A UK return, even a temporary or symbolic one, would reopen wounds, reignite controversy, and test the Sussexes' narrative of independence like never before. The stakes could not be higher. If Harry and Meghan misjudge this moment, they risk redefining themselves not as trailblazers who escaped the monarchy, but as figures caught between two worlds, fully belonging to neither. A return to Britain could reshape their future, or expose fractures that have long been hidden behind carefully curated messaging. For now, the only certainty is that something is shifting, and the silence surrounding these discussions may be the loudest signal yet that the Sussex saga is far from over. As the world waits to see what the Sussexes will do next, insiders reveal that the discussions behind palace walls have become increasingly urgent and detailed. Sources say that every aspect of a potential return is being considered, from security and logistics to how the visit might be perceived by the public, media, and the broader royal family. Every gesture, every movement, every word would be scrutinized, and for Harry and Meghan, there is no margin for error. The couple's choices now carry consequences not just for themselves, but for the monarchy and even the legacy of King Charles III. Royal aides are reportedly mapping out scenarios that could either allow a controlled, symbolic reconciliation or, if mishandled, provoke further public outrage and media frenzy. Legal and security concerns also loom large. Prince Harry has always been vocal about his insistence on adequate protection, and sources emphasize that any return to the UK is contingent on strict security guarantees. Meghan's position complicates matters further. Her team reportedly insists that she would only travel if arrangements protect her autonomy and allow her to maintain full control over public exposure. This creates a delicate balancing act, with palace officials trying to satisfy the couple's requirements without ceding too much influence or appearing to capitulate. The conversations are said to be ongoing, tense, and highly confidential, a chess match with stakes that include reputation, influence, and historical legacy. Beyond logistics, the human element dominates the discussion. King Charles is described as deeply concerned about the emotional toll on all parties, particularly on Harry and William. Insiders suggest that the monarch is attempting to orchestrate a controlled environment where grievances can be aired privately without devolving into another public spectacle. The objective is to create a space where reconciliation is possible, but only under terms that preserve dignity, family unity, and public confidence. Some insiders even hint at the possibility of mediated sessions, structured discussions designed to rebuild trust, and symbolic gestures intended to demonstrate goodwill to both the public and the royal institution. Despite these efforts, tension remains palpable. Prince William's stance is firm. Sources portray him as resolute in protecting the integrity of the monarchy and unwilling to allow past betrayals to be overlooked casually. This has created a situation where Harry must navigate not just his own desires, but a network of expectations, historical obligations, and family dynamics that are far more complicated than any media narrative can capture. The interplay between Harry's longing for connection, Meghan's desire for autonomy, and William's insistence on boundaries forms a pressure cooker scenario, with consequences that could reverberate far beyond the royal family. Meanwhile, American backlash continues to build. Analysts note that the Sussex brand, once a formidable asset, is increasingly scrutinized, and public sentiment shows signs of fatigue. Projects that once seemed destined for global success now face skepticism and critical attention. Observers argue that Harry and Meghan's carefully cultivated narrative of victimhood and independence has reached a tipping point, with some audiences questioning authenticity and intent. This shift amplifies the strategic appeal of a UK return. It could reposition the couple, offering renewed legitimacy, historical relevance, and a chance to reshape their image under controlled conditions. However, it also carries enormous risk, potentially reigniting long-standing controversies and exposing vulnerabilities that have been carefully managed for years. Insiders also highlight the role of advisors and confidants, both royal and external. Every conversation reportedly considers the media reaction, public opinion, and the delicate balance of family relationships. The Sussexes are said to be evaluating options not just on a personal or emotional basis, but through the lens of global perception, commercial opportunity, and long-term legacy. The decisions being contemplated are complex, multifaceted, and unprecedented, combining elements of diplomacy, branding, security, and personal history in ways rarely seen in the modern royal context. Every move must be measured, deliberate, and designed to achieve multiple objectives simultaneously. As discussions continue, speculation intensifies regarding the timing and scope of any return. Will the couple appear at ceremonial events or opt for private, low-profile visits? Will Meghan and Harry travel together? Or will Harry go alone to test the waters and gauge reactions? Will King Charles's invitations be accepted immediately, or will negotiations extend over months, if not years? Every scenario carries potential consequences, and insiders warn that missteps could result in intensified media scrutiny, strained family relationships, and damage to the Sussexes' carefully curated narrative of independence. The broader implications of a UK return extend beyond Harry and Meghan themselves. Analysts argue that the monarchy as an institution is watching closely, as any public reconciliation or failure to reconcile could influence public confidence in the royal family, its relevance, and its future. The stakes are amplified by the global attention paid to the Sussexes, with social media, traditional media, and public opinion intertwined in a feedback loop that magnifies every action, statement, and appearance. Observers describe a delicate balance, where a single misstep could transform a strategic opportunity into a public relations disaster, or conversely, where a carefully managed visit could restore credibility, bolster historical relevance, and position the Sussexes for a more constructive future. Even within the couple's inner circle, opinions vary. Some advisors advocate for immediate engagement with the monarchy to repair relationships and demonstrate loyalty. Others counsel caution, arguing that any move must be carefully timed, selectively publicized, and accompanied by clear messaging that protects the couple's autonomy and brand. Meghan and Harry are reportedly weighing these options, balancing emotional considerations with strategic calculations, aware that their decisions could define their legacy for decades to come. What emerges from these complex discussions is a sense that the Sussexes are at a pivotal moment. The pressures of American scrutiny, the strategic overtures from the monarchy, and the unresolved dynamics with Prince William have combined to create a scenario that is both urgent and unprecedented. Sources stress that the next steps taken by Harry and Meghan will not merely reflect personal preference, but will have lasting implications for their roles in public life, their influence within the monarchy, and the perception of the royal institution globally. The decisions are consequential, high stakes, and unfolding in real time, with insiders suggesting that the world may be on the verge of witnessing a dramatic chapter in royal history. In conclusion, the possibility of Meghan and Harry returning to the UK, whether for reconciliation, strategic positioning, or public re-engagement, represents one of the most dramatic developments in recent royal history. It is a story shaped by backlash, strategy, family dynamics, and the unrelenting scrutiny of global audiences. While the ultimate outcome remains uncertain, what is clear is that the Sussexes are navigating a complex web of personal ambition, familial obligation, and public expectation. The narrative is evolving rapidly, and every move, decision, and statement carries weight. For Harry and Meghan, the path forward is fraught with challenge, risk, and opportunity, and the world is watching to see how one of the most famous couples of the modern era will respond to a reckoning that has quietly been building for years.